What's up everybody, Venom here with a quick guide on Remnant 2. Let's get right into it. Any fan of a good Souls-like, or an RPG, or even a multiplayer game can find that Remnant 2 has all of the above, and a lot to offer for players. Since Souls-likes are literally meant to test your patience, and Remnant 2 is no exception to that rule, it can be hard to get your bearings and know where to start or what the basics are in a Souls-like such as Remnant 2. In this guide, we'll discuss the basics of Remnant 2, as well as how to get started on the right foot to ensure success through your playthrough. Just as in most Souls-likes, or really any kind of RPG game, you're going to have a mini-map, objectives to follow, consumable items, a health bar, a stamina bar, and trait powers and weapons to use against bosses and enemies you'll encounter along your way. Again, as most Souls-likes will do, the stamina bar will be used up when you run or dodge during a fight in Remnant 2, so you want to be sure to keep an eye on your stamina while you're fighting different bosses and enemies. The last thing you want is to run completely out of stamina and not be able to dodge an attack and get face first punched by an enemy. You also will have 2 weapon slots to start with in Remnant 2, a main weapon and a pistol that you can use. You can see how much ammo you have and how much ammo your pistol has, and swap through these 2 weapons pretty easily. Make sure to always check your ammo and pick up as much as you possibly can so that you also don't run out of ammo while fighting bosses and enemies you encounter. The beginning campaign gives a pretty good rundown of how to use your mechanics, such as sprinting, shooting, finding enemies, and even that friendly fire exists. One thing I noticed right from the beginning was that there's a fight pretty early on where enemies are running at you, and they just keep coming and coming and coming. And regardless of if you kill off all the enemies or not, a cutscene will trigger that showcases some friendly faces, and it is not avoidable. There's no way to avoid this cutscene. You haven't done anything wrong initially like I thought I did, because I got bombarded and could not kill all of the enemies and thought I was a goner. But it's actually supposed to happen. You are either supposed to die or you just get too overwhelmed with all of the enemies, and a cutscene triggers where you meet some very familiar faces. After you meet up with these new friends, you're going to come across the first boss in Remnant 2. Its name is the Root Mantis, and even though it's not too difficult of a fight because I was a little rusty, I did get beat up a little bit. But you have your friends there to help you, and they do some pretty significant damage against the boss as well. The main thing that you want to remember is dodging. Always dodge, and do your best to dodge any attacks that are oncoming towards you, because you want to save as much health as you possibly can. But while dodging, ensure that you're not using up all your stamina like I did several times, because then you're going to get hit and lose more health anyway. Once you defeat the Root Mantis, you'll notice that you got something called a trait point. Trait points are used on different traits, and you start out with 4 main traits: Vigor, Endurance, Spirit, and Expertise. If you hover over any of these traits, it tells you what they do, but I'm going to quickly cover that as well, just in case. Vigor will increase your max health. Endurance will increase your max stamina. Spirit will increase mod power generation, and Expertise reduces your skill cooldowns depending on how many levels you have unlocked in that trait tree. Picking how to use your traits can be kind of difficult in the beginning just because you're not sure what to put points into. I always go with max health because I have a habit of getting hit by every enemy that I come across. But there's really no right or wrong way to do it. It just is solely dependent on how you like to play Souls-likes and how you like to build your character. Speaking of building your character, there's one thing that I definitely want to say about Souls-likes, including Remnant 2, that's pretty well known. You're going to die a lot, and you have to accept the fact that you are going to die a lot. The main point of most Souls-likes is to learn from those deaths and figure out what you did wrong to do better the next time you go into that fight. It gives you an opportunity to learn a new strategy and figure out how you can better yourself to become even stronger as you progress in the game. Souls-likes are meant to challenge you, and this game will do that. So don't worry if you die a lot, because I died a lot, and that's okay. Just get your bearings back and keep trying over and over until you finally defeat that boss, and when you do, it feels phenomenal. Now, this tip or trick, I guess, I mentioned earlier, but I'm going to mention it again because it's extremely important. Making sure that you dodge as many attacks as possible while still ensuring that you don't run out of stamina. The dodge mechanic in any Souls-like is absolutely crucial and vital to your success. So mastering the dodge ability is going to be one of the biggest boosts that you can give yourself in Remnant 2. But what happens if the enemy gets extremely close and you don't have the ability to dodge? Well, Remnant 2 has a melee combat mechanic that you also should utilize as often as possible. Yes, dealing damage from far away is much safer and you're going to save your health that way, but if you run out of bullets or if there's just no way to escape and you're backed into a corner, utilize your melee combat. You also have the ability to upgrade your melee weapon, so that makes it much easier to take on enemies hand to hand as you progress in the game as well. So definitely don't forget to use melee combat if it comes down to it, which kind of leads into my next point. There's going to be a lot of guns and weapons in this game to utilize, and there's not one set weapon that's just all above the rest. This is about finding the best weapon for you and what suits your playstyle. You can find guns throughout the world and you can also buy them at Ward 13, but your best bet is to just try out as many as you possibly can to find one that you thoroughly like and that you enjoy using. You can upgrade your weapons to make them even more effective against enemies and bosses, so finding that one weapon that really fits your style and upgrading it to the best of your ability will also give you the upper hand. You can upgrade your weapons in Ward 13 by visiting the blacksmith, whose name is Wriggler, and they will take materials and scraps that are dropped throughout your journey through Remnant 2, and they can upgrade your weapons for you. The materials aren't few and far between either. You will find them consistently as you're defeating enemies within this game. So check often with Wriggler to see if you have the ability to upgrade your weapon, and anytime that you can, make sure to upgrade it so that you can stay on top of these extremely ever-growing harder boss battles. And my last tip is just gonna be to explore and try to collect everything that you come across. The levels are procedurally generated, meaning that every time you play through this game, the map is going to be different. So you're gonna wanna explore every nook and cranny as often as you possibly can to see if you're missing something. There's so much to find and so many treasures to uncover in Remnant 2 that you want to ensure that you are looking high and low to find all of these great things that might get you by as you progress. Plus, collecting all the materials and scrap that you see will help you upgrade your weapons and make sure that the battles don't get overly intense because your weapons are falling behind as the enemies get harder to kill. And I know that a lot of these tips and tricks are kind of standard, but some of these things are very easy to forget when starting out a new Souls-like. So with that said, that's gonna do it for this guide on Remnant 2. If you like the video, then like the video. And if you like my content in general, then please subscribe to my channel. It means the world to me. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!